Let's take a quick look at one possible workflow overview for Setup Factory 7.0. This is one I like to use, and it's a good framework to get started. Step 1, planning. So that's right here. So basically what we're doing here is we're planning out the entire project from end to end. We're asking the tough questions, we're making lists, and we're really understanding our target audience here and making sure that everything that we do is ready basically for them. So for example, this is a good time to really sort of focus in on what you're trying to do, get your objective down and work out all your details. You can't put enough time into this. This is by far, in my mind, the most important step in the entire process. Planning, planning, planning. Okay, so once we've got it all planned out, and of course that's going to be the longest step in the process too, is planning. That could take a week or two, for a large project. Preparing is the next step. And this is actually the second most important step, I believe. So once you've planned it all out, it's important to get all your project resources together at once and get them in shape. It's no good to be building as you're going. For example, if you're creating a design, an overall design for your project, by doing it all at once, you're going to get a much more cohesive, high-impact product than if you try and sort of patch it together as needs arise. So it's important to plan and prepare really well for your projects. Now we get into Setup Factory for step 3. We're producing, and we're actually taking the Setup Factory application and we're creating our final installer. Okay, this is actually typically pretty easy if you've done a good job of step number 1 and step number 2, because for producing, you're just going to bring in your components, and that's very quick to do. I mean, you can just drag and drop your stuff into Setup Factory and basically integrate your plan. If your plan is well thought out and everything's worked out, it's going to be very quick. You can just bring it together, put in your scripts, your actions, your objects, whatever you need to use, and get it out the door. So again, producing is going to be the third most important stage, and it's also going to be less time consuming typically than the planning and the preparing. Now the step 4, publishing, is going to be a very quick step. This is just building your installer. So we've got everything done. We've done our planning, our preparing, and our producing, and we're ready to let it go. We're ready to build our final file. Typically this just takes a few seconds, so that's not really a big deal. But the nice thing about Setup Factory 7.0 is that you have a whole bunch of options for publishing now. So you can deploy via web, CD-ROM, DVD, etc. The best thing to do is go through the publishing wizard and take a look at all the different things that are available to you. The nice thing about the publishing wizard, of course, is that you can just make a few clicks and get what you want. Step 5 here, proving. So that's testing your application. Prove that everything works before you go and distribute it, especially if you're going to be printing off 500 or 1,000 discs or even more. Some people are doing runs of 10,000 installers, and it's very important before you go and sign a contract with your printer to make sure that this is going to do what you need it to do. Now that being said, you can be pretty well guaranteed that anything Setup Factory 7.0 builds for you is ready to go and bulletproof. But we still encourage you to test. Test, test, test. And of course you can come to our forum anytime you want at www.indigorose.com and ask for people to test your application. Say, I'm getting ready to distribute, could you please download and test this application? And people from all over the world will actually download your application and try it out on their different operating systems. And our users are pretty intrepid, so if you've got some problems in there, they'll probably sort them out for you right away. I've had great experience my own self with my personal projects, posting them in our forum, so that's a great way to do that. Other than that, it's great to have a couple old computers kicking around with old operating systems on them. Basically, understanding your target audience is the key here to proving your stuff. Okay, so the next step, and I think we all have one guy like this in every office. At Indigo Rose, his name is Adam. And that's partying. Step 6. So we've done all the hard work, everything's gone cool, and we're ready for to go out and have some fun. So I don't want to make light of this. Of course, it's good to have fun, but it's important to focus, focus, focus. Planning and preparing are going to be the best value that you're going to get out of your workflow. So the more time you spend planning and the more time you spend preparing, the more impressed people are going to be with your end product. Okay, so that's a quick workflow overview. That's one possible workflow, and I encourage you to experiment and find the best workflow for you, but the 6 P's is a great way to get started. Let's go ahead and take a look at an overview of the Workspace.